It's time now for Quick Take by the Numbers, where we give you the numbers that tell the story. This morning's number is 4. Israel is heading to its 4th vote in just 2 years. The country's governing coalition collapsed after just 7 months when Parliament failed to approve a national budget for the 2nd year in a row. This is all happening while talks of a 3rd national lockdown are in the air and unemployment is at a steep 15%. After months of policy paralysis, the long-serving Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu will face a new challenger, Gideon Saar. The ballot is to take place on March 23rd. And here to discuss is Bloomberg News' Israel and Palestinian Territories Bureau Chief, Kobi Ben-Melech, live in Tel Aviv. Kobi, it's really great to have you on Quick Take today. Thanks for taking the time. Can you just give us a big picture of how coalitions work in the country and why this governing coalition only lasted 7 months?
How much time do you have to explain?
Yeah.
No. So so in Israel's political system, the parliament has 120 seats. And in order to win an election, you need more than 61 or more seats. And the reason why we had so many elections was because neither Netanyahu or Gantz could form that majority. And so the reason that we came to this very complicated and very fraught coalition that just fell apart was essentially we had 3 elections back to back, bruising but inconclusive. And it was the pandemic was just getting started in Israel. The last election was, I think, March 2nd, if I'm not mistaken. The hour was great, right? And the sides needed to put aside their differences and get together. So they joined in this very complicated, they being Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and his challenger Benny Gantz. They joined in this very complicated arrangement where there would be a government for 3 years. So both of Netanyahu and Benny Gantz would be prime minister for 18 months. And if either side blocked the other from passing key legislation, like, for example, a state budget, then the government falls and Israel goes to elections. But the problem here, the root problem was, and this has been the problem for a few years now in Israeli politics, is that both Netanyahu and Gantz were very deeply distrustful of one another. And basically only about one thing, which was about Netanyahu's corruption trial. So go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm just curious to how tired people are of voting. I mean, are they the 4th vote in 2 years? Is there fatigue setting in? What is participation like?
Gosh, yeah, absolutely. People here are fed up. This is just they're fed up, but actually yesterday, a very prominent political analyst here, she said, just taking a look at the poll numbers, that it might actually not be too early to talk about a 5th election.
Wow.
So there's a lot of gridlock here, unfortunately. Turnout, it's an interesting question because the election is set for March 23rd, which is just a few days before the Passover holiday here. And the coronavirus czar not long ago said, with the vaccine rollout here, and Israel's being very aggressive about it, that he's looking to have a normal Passover, what he called normal. So if things don't go sideways here, then there really oughtn't be much impact when it comes to voter turnout.
So in a few months, the idea is for the majority of the country to be vaccinated. The government thinks it can pull that off?
That's the target. Yeah. The numbers vary. The reports of something like 2 million Israelis by next month, maybe less. The numbers are there's a wide range, but by Passover and I think the number was 60%, if I'm not mistaken. 60% of the country. I mean, look, Israel's a small country, right? 9 million people.
Yeah, I mean, but it would be a great news if the majority of people there could actually get vaccinated. I just want to end with talking about the economic effects of the coronavirus on the economy there. Unemployment at about 15% right now. Give us the details on how it's changed during the pandemic and how lockdowns and or lack thereof have affected the economy.
Oh gosh. So as you said, unemployment. I mean, unemployment in the first lockdown reached almost as high as 30%.
Wow.
So and it's brought out a lot of anger and a lot of frustration. There's protests every week by the Prime Minister's house. But having said all that, in combination with the aggressive vaccine rollout plan, the most economists and I think even the central bank is actually quite bullish about next year, so quickly getting things back up and running. But yeah, of course, I mean, more businesses are expected to close this year than obviously the average year. Unemployment is still at like 15%. The budget deficit is ballooned, I think, to something close to like 12 or 13%. It was like half that before coronavirus.
Bloomberg News' Israel and Palestinian Bureau Chief Kobi Ben-Melech. Kobi, we unfortunately have to leave it there. Kobi joins us live from Tel Aviv. Kobi, thanks so much for your time.
The biggest stories the moment they happen from around the globe. Subscribe to Bloomberg Quick Take now for insight in an instant.